Okay. I'll be sharing my screen. Go ahead and tune in. Let me know when you're tuned in, Fox.
I'm in.
You're watching my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Alright, so we're going to go over this week's GM mentorship notes. So to start, we're going to start with EC etiquette. It is incredibly important to follow all server rules and maintain a good attitude while you're ECing. This includes responding to the GM when they ask if any ECs are free. If you're busy, say so. If you can free up, say so. Always respond to the GM when they talk to you. So let's say Africa's the GM. If he is asking if there are any ECs free, you are free currently in that time, you need to respond with I am free. So you can be set up for the next situation. If you are free and you have nothing to do, it is probably best for you to speak up and ask the GM what they need. Then the GM can set you up as so. So make sure we're doing proper EC etiquette. Receiving/giving assistance. Be respectful to your fellow GMs. There is no need to be rude to anyone. If people are attempting to assist you, don't be rude and disrespectful towards them. If you don't want the help, just tell them. On the other side of the coin, if you're attempting to help someone and they tell you that they don't need it, don't continue to push. Respect other people's boundaries as a member of the team, and they'll respect yours. So, let's say you. Oops, sorry. That's my alarm. I gotta get my pings out real quick. But while I'm doing this, let's just say, right, Fox, that you need help. You need help with your event, right? And someone's requesting to give you help. If they're kind of pushing your boundaries of like, this is not really where I wanted my event to go, you need, you need to be able to speak up and say, hey, maybe I don't need help here. Um, people are going to try helping you. You're a TGM, right? They want to make sure you get the help that you need, but just make sure you in turn are also respecting other people's boundaries, right, when it comes to helping. Sorry, bear with me, I'm just getting my pings out real quick because I have an event coming up. Alright, my pings are out. Perfect. Okay, so plastic dupes. When you're creating a plastic dupe, it should not be a direct one-to-one of the map below it. If it is going to look like the map you're using, you might as well just use the map. Plastic dupes are great when done correctly, but it's important to show the actual map some love as well. So let's say we're doing Dark Valley, right? And you create a plastic dupe that's literally the same buildings right above each other and the same trees right above each other. That's you just remade the map. If you're making a plastic dupe, it needs to be a whole new world essentially. Welding dupes. Don't weld an entire dupe to one singular prop. It becomes highly likely that there will be too many constraints and therefore your dupe will not be welded properly on the server. If you're going to use smart weld, remember to not to weld anything to the world. We'll go over more of this when we get in game, so this makes a little bit more sense to you. It's probably better I show you. And then, probably most importantly, the 24-hour event. The 24-hour event will be hosted December 13th and December 14th, which will be on Friday and Saturday. So remember those days. It's in like 3 days from now. We start. The member with the most passives held will receive 50 USD. The passive requirements for all event members of the following ranks: Event Manager 25, Head GM 20, Lead GM 15 passives, Senior GM 10 passives, Game Master and Trial GM 5 passives. So, you, as a trial GM, need to be able to host 5 passives, and we'll go over more in that when we go into game and I start showing you some stuff. If you don't have any ideas for passives, I'll start to give you some. Let's break some records. Our previous record was 617. We want to break 500, but we can definitely break 700. We got faith in you. All right. Now, we're going to go over stuff in game. All right. So, Fox, I saw during your first dupe, right? There's a lot of empty space.
I
Do you have
was.
a
I
dupe in
was.
mind? Do you have a dupe that you have ready that you want to show me? Something we can go over together?
No, I was. I was. Before I actually got trained, I made a plastic dupe
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't weld it correctly, so I lost it. So no, I do not have a new one.
Okay. We'll
So
just
that
go
was
over.
like my actual first one that I never got to use.
That's fine. We'll just go over some stuff real quick. The welds, so you can kind of get a better idea of what I'm talking about there. All that kind of stuff. Alrighty. So when you're making an event, right, it's good to know where spawn is. So we're on Arid here. So spawn isn't there where we spawned. You know where Arid spawn is, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. I hope I'm flying the right way. I am. So when you're doing a dupe, you want to make sure that we're avoiding what we call MTT trains and avoiding empty space. So let's say we have the dupe here. I call this small dupes. Probably one of the most common barriers used is the Kashyyyk barrier. Make sure if you are doing spawns, right, you stagger them. So you want kind of like, you don't want just a straight line of just like doot, 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 doot. That's not going to go. You kind of want to stagger your spawns a little bit. So this can be in ways of towers, it could be barricades. I personally don't use these barricades anymore. I go for more natural cover. But you kind of want to also set up situations along the way. So let's say I want to get a good old tower in there. Give that a second to load up. Where this is the good one. You can have a tower here. That's another chance for you to spawn droids up here. Or you can set up a situation in that tower. You want to make sure it's just not a straight shot, you know? I would say use tanks sparingly. Don't have those be your crutch. Because once you start sparingly use tanks, that's when you're going to find yourself not using them as much as you used to. So it's really easy to build. Like, what do you have as an idea for your next dude, Fox? You have an idea in mind?
I'm gonna do plastic, so
Plastic. Okay.
I do you know a good way to make the walls? Because
In
the
terms of
problem,
what?
like how to surround it without letting the troopers fall off, that's my main
Oh, so
problem. It took me so long to make
you want
that.
to make a kind of like a barrier on your I have good plastics. I can probably show you. Christophsis. I know I got some good ones on there. I'm gonna load that up real quick.
Yeah, your Mandalore.
Nah, I had a different one. I wanted to
Mm.
show you. I'm gonna show you Kashyyyk.
Oh, the new one?
Nah, this is my old Kashyyyk. It's too many props. I would never be able to do this dupe again, but
Too many props.
yeah, this is before.
Why did all the plastic dupes have like that building, like the indent in the bottom of them? Is my
It's just the
question.
building we use. So what I do, right? What a lot of GMs do for plastic dupes, to kind of have the barrier, they put these trees here. Now this is like a single prop here. So
And are
because the
they like
troopers like
no collided or
subconsciously,
something?
well yeah, but the troopers subconsciously aren't gonna walk past this barrier. They're gonna kind of stay in the confines, right?
Mhm.
But a very important part about making plastic dupes and where I see a lot of GMs struggle. See all this empty space right here? It's a lot
Yeah.
of empty space, right? So, I mean, you wouldn't be able to do it like in this magnitude now because this is way too many props. But you see how I'm filling this empty space now? It is not
Yeah,
just a
that's a lot
giant.
of props.
It is a lot of props. Again, like I said, I would never be able to do this dupe again.
It would be cool though.
But yeah, you always want to make sure if you are doing a plastic dupe, you do fill up your empty space here. You can put bushes like I did here. You can put barriers, but you always want to make sure your droids are spawning behind something too. So, see we have a barrier here. We have a barrier here. One here. Your droids, there kind of needs to be a story from where your droids are coming from. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So like here, I wouldn't be able to leave this clear you need to have a crate or something. That could be a story of like, oh, the droids were deactivated behind this crate, and now they're activated. Now they're shooting at you. There just needs to be some sort of reason from where the droids are coming from.
Hmm?
And you always, when you're making a dupe, I would say, and what the way I do dupes is I think of each battalion, and I think of 2 objectives each battalion could be doing. Right, so now you're building that into your dupe. That way, you're not having to make something up on the fly. Like, I don't know, maybe 212 could do this there. You should always, when you're making your dupe, you should always be kind of thinking, plan it into your dupe on what each battalion's going to do. I promise you, it's going to make your dupes a lot easier to make, and hosting them's going to be a lot easier as well, because now you have a set plan on what each battalion's going to do for you. Does that make sense? Do you have
Uh-huh.
any questions that something you'd rather me go over with you, something that might help you a little bit before I kind of get
Mm,
into my stuff?
no,
Anything
not
that you
really.
struggle with making dupes? Anything at all?
No.
No? Okay. So, um, I mean, I would be advised not to do a plastic dupe for your first dupe, because plastic dupes are harder. But power to
Had a
you.
good one.
You have a good one.
I had one that's the one that I was making before I was a GM. It was a really long, lengthy process that I just should have done with the trees. But I made walls around it. I had like a main objective with the CIS having turrets that you need to get 212 to place bombs, and I was gonna have a second part adding more like stuff. But I just didn't weld it correctly, so I needed auto weld, but
Let's
I didn't
go
have it.
over the smart weld right now. Sorry, I was just choking on water.
Mhm.
All right. So, you got the smart weld tool, right?
Mhm.
Let's say we are welding within an area. Let's say I want to weld the tree, right? So I'm going to E and left click to select an area of what I want.
Mhm.
Make sure everything's highlighted green that you want to select, right? Let's say I want this to be a single part. What you're going to do, now that you've selected everything and everything's green on the Smart Weld tool, you're going to hold E, and your instructions are always on the top left of your screen on how to use your Smart Weld tool. You're going to hold E and then right click. You see on the bottom right where it says 216 props have been welded to a single prop? Did you see that on the bottom right? It popped
Yeah.
up briefly. Now this is welded. Now what you want to do to save that weld, get your advanced duplicator. And what I do for precaution is I just right click it a bunch. So now I have my dupe here. Remember earlier it said that I needed like 200 and something props. It said I had welded. Well, now
Mhm.
now that I have it right clicked, I want to make sure that that prop count matches, which it does. 236 entities. So you always want to check your dupe information, because if you don't check your dupe information, then you might have accidentally had like a single. I've done this before. You might have accidentally had just a tank selected, and you might have just saved a tank thinking that was your entire dupe, but you actually just saved one tank. So always when you're right clicking, right clicking to make sure you have your dupe, check your dupe information. It'll save you from accidentally saving the wrong thing. And then you can just create a folder by doing new folder, and then you can just save it within that folder. And then I would also then double check. Well, did it actually save properly? You would just click something else, and then click into the dupe that you want to spawn in for the event, and just make sure everything is here. If it is not there, you did not save it properly. So don't go ahead and just randomly delete your dupe after you think you saved it. Triple check, make sure that the stuff is actually there. Because that might have what happened with your other plastic. You probably just didn't save it properly, right? Or you maybe didn't weld it properly. What have it. But that's probably where your mistake was. Um, when you're building dupes, just make sure you're giving each battalion throughout your dupe an equal opportunity to do something interesting. And kind of what that means is don't just have 212th climb this tree, defuse one bomb, and that's all they do for the entire event. That's why I'm saying think of at least two things they can do, right? And stagger them. So maybe at the like 1/3 of the way through your event, you have 212th do one thing. And then towards the end of your event, you have them do another thing. That way you're retaining the people that are in your event because you're giving them something specific to do.
Mm-hmm.
You can also give them side objectives. Side objectives also are very useful. You can say, let's say 91st, you want to send them off to that far corner over there because you have like a turbo laser that needs to be disabled, and your group is over here. Well, you tell 91st, hey, go all the way over there. Just disable that turbo laser and then return to the group. And just make sure everyone's having fun. That's what you want to have happen during your events, right? You don't want your events to be boring. You want people to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Probably another thing we can go over is, I don't think you were here for this note yet, but don't ever material trees. It crashes people.
Yeah, I heard that from
Okay.
somebody.
Yeah, so don't material trees. Just leave them the way they are. If you can color them, that's okay. Oops, I had that strobe. You can color trees because, right, it doesn't mess with the texture of the leaves. We're thinking this is what crashes people. So if you want to have trees in your dupe and you want to have them like a different color, like you're on a different planet, like cyan trees, that's fine. Just make sure you don't color them. I mean, material them.
What if I
Also,
just make a material dupe full of material trees?
you'll crash the server like I did, so don't do that.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah, I tried doing a Felucia event, and you see what it does to the leaves here? Kind of fucks them up. So just don't do that.
Oh, the
Not a
Felucia.
Felucia, Seleucami. I tried doing some Seleucami dupe, it just didn't work out, everyone kept crashing. So that's kind of where we figured out, okay, yeah, material trees crash the server. 100% guaranteed. So, just don't do that. Trying to think of other things. I'm just glancing over basics, I believe. I'm trying to not glance over basics. Make sure when you're doing droid spawns that you're giving a variety. So you don't want to just have B1s the entire event. Switch it up between BXs, B2s, B1s, Magna Guards. Just give a variety of droids within your spawns. That way, it's going to be a little refreshing for the players, and they're not just fighting B1s the entire mission. Also, what I suggest, this is not a requirement, but I suggest try to have a little bit lower health droids. It makes it more fun for the players, and if they fight more droids with less health, opposed to really beefy droids. But I would put down beefy droids if you need to go set something up. So let's say you need to go set something up over here. You need to have an ECTPT on the other side of the map. But yeah, put down some droids, some BXs with like 3,000 health. Fend them off for a little bit, right? Get that EC interaction set up, and then go back. You remember Blood on the Lat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, make arcs, lats, they can all get blood on them. Just make sure you're careful with that if you do have them set up in your event. I suggest not even putting them into your dupe if you have a lat or an arc somewhere, unless you have some sort of measure that you're going to guarantee no blood gets on it. Like it's far away or you're not going to spawn droids near it. Just make sure you do something like that. Alright. The big ships could start crashes in your servers. So let's say, right, you have one of these in your dupe. If people start crashing, it could be because of these as well. It's been known to in the past that these big ships will start crashing people. So just be careful and don't make them a main part of your dupe. Make it something that can be easily deleted and it doesn't affect your entire dupe, right? Any questions so far about the notes, what we went over today?
Nope.
About your next dupe and nothing? You're feeling pretty confident in your next dupe? You know what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Just make sure your story ties into your dupe properly. What I see a lot of GMs do is they just kind of just make the story up. I want to see a Fox event with a good story. That way, your ECs aren't just doing whatever the hell they want because they don't know what they're doing. Make sure you have a plan for every EC interaction, okay? Well, if you have no questions, Africa, do you have anything?
Nope.
Alrighty. Then you, my friend Fox, are free to go if you have
I
nothing.
just saw something in the announcements. Oh, that's bad. All right.